as part of the weekly Jack Swarbrick radio show, we're now doing a student-athlete feature, as we frequently do. And this one is with Bill Bass, a senior swimmer for the university who has a host of distinctions, but one of them being your fellow Hoosier, right?
I am, yeah.
Chesterton, right? Where is that?
That's right. It's just about 2 minutes by the Dunes, National Lake Shore.
Right.
About an hour west of here, so.
And what was the attraction to come to Notre Dame?
Notre Dame? Honestly, I didn't really look at it too much at the beginning. But it really what it came down to was academics. I was being close to home. That was nice. And kind of the team was growing then. It wasn't quite at this point, and I think I really saw potential for me to kind of be a motivating part of that. So that was really what kind of got me to come to this program.
Well, you've certainly accomplished that. The team's development in your 4 years here has been pretty remarkable, to where this season you're undefeated and as a team performing at a really high level. Talk a little bit about the squad this year.
It's definitely the best team I think the program's ever seen, which is really exciting, and especially exciting because I think this year we have a really big shot to make the jump to national level, which is something we've done. Frank Dyer, who's made it in the past 2 years, I made it last year, but I think this year would be really exciting to see more than 2 guys, like at a relay or 4, or 5 guys. And I think we really have the potential to do that this year. So,
your impact in particular has been notable, but beyond that, I mean, what contributed to that success? Why has the program been able to go from where it was your freshman year to where it is today?
I think part of it is the recruiting. I certainly think just like the first success that we started having was able to help people kind of recognize the program as something that's going to be competitive nationally and just in the conference. But really our depth is kind of coming to its own. I think a lot of the underclassmen are starting to step up more, especially last year when we picked up that enormous freshman class who are now sophomores. But I think the underclassmen are really starting to find a role and can contribute, obviously conference, but hopefully at something like nationals.
Now, you lost a little time. Was it 2 years ago with shoulder surgery?
Yeah, it's weird.
What did you do, and what was the challenge of coming back from that?
What happened was I had a lot of swimmers, really the only thing you can't injure is your shoulders. So, and I didn't really think it was possible, but I messed up. I tore my bicep tendon or split it or something, and then my capsule, which is just what holds your shoulder in place, is too big, so it was like subluxing, and just falling out a little bit. I couldn't swim quite right. So yeah, they just did a couple surgeries to fix it up, and there was it was supposed to be like an 8-month recovery process, which I was supposed to do just a lot of therapy, a lot of stretching back out because they'd over-tighten the joint to keep it from falling out. Which was great because it was over the summer. I got to go to London, which was really exciting because I couldn't train. And I just really did a lot of therapy on my shoulders. It took a lot of load off my shoulders to make sure I didn't re-injure it. I did a ton of kicking, totally changed the way I train. I cut my yards in half, way more legs focused now, even now, because I still can't train 100%. And it really just, that turned my career around. I had career best in everything last season. I did really well at Big East. That's when I went to NCs, and this year's been nothing but the same. So
yeah, it's great success. Now, we had Coach on a few weeks ago, and he talked about sort of the strategy of deciding who swims what in a meet and how to maximize that. How are you used?
I swim IM, individual medley, so I'm a little more versatile, I think, than the average guy. I can swim most things. I usually swim IM. My freestyle is decent, so I can swim most relays. All freestyle relays I can do. I do a little fly. Pretty much stay away from backstroke. Don't swim too much individual breaststroke, partially because we have like 5 guys who can swim really fast breaststroke. But yeah, so I swim a little bit of everything.
Nothing quite as grueling as the IM.
Except for the mile, maybe.
Yeah, except maybe the mile. Yeah. Which distance do you prefer in the IM? 200
for sure. 400 is a long one.
Because it's a little easier or because you're better in it?
I think a little both. It's definitely my better friend is this shorter one, but 400 IM is one of the harder races. It's not very fun.
We've talked a lot about all your success in the pool, but your success extends to the classroom, where you were named Academic All-American. I think only the 3rd in the history of the program, if I'm not mistaken. Quite an honor. So how do you balance all that?
It's a bit of a juggling act, I think, and that comes with any, really sport here. Anybody who's doing or is a student athlete. But it's a little different for me. I think I'm an art studio major, so my classes are a lot longer, and you just spend a lot more time in the studio. But I don't know. It's a challenge, which is not unheard of around here. But I think that's really what part of being a student athlete in Notre Dame. I think that's a huge part of it.
And you paired that art interest with philosophy. Is that right? Your philosophy minor?
Yeah.
That's a really strong program here at Notre Dame. What attracted you to it?
Actually, I was interested in philosophy for a long time, like since high school, beginning of high school. Just kind of been into it, and I was just doing it on my own. Not doing it on my own. I was reading a lot on my own, and I actually I was part of the teaching certification program at St. Mary's for a long time.
Sure.
And I ended up dropping that because it was just too much of a time commitment with art studio and swimming. And so then I just was able to, I had some spare time in my schedule, and I didn't want to just do an art studio because I had so much extra time. So I just picked it up because I thought it was something that could really, I don't know, kind of grow into a little bit as college came to an end.
As we said, you're undefeated this far in the year. Give us sort of a sense of the arc of the season. So I know there got to be times where you taper and focus. And how does all that balance out over the next couple months?
Well, I mean, you mean like start out and then how's it finish?
Yeah.
You start out, I mean, you just kind of figure out where everybody's at. A lot of people train over the summer, some people don't, so they want to kind of get everybody back together. So that's like a training camp, more or less, and you just kind of get everybody to a sort of aerobic base. And then you specialize a little bit and kind of filter through whose events are what in the fall, and you just kind of, that's what dual meets are for, I think, mostly. You kind of decide where people belong. And then after, like, there's a mid-season invite where you get some times and you really solidify stuff at the end of the season, and you go on like a training trip, or at least that middle period where there's no school, and you can really really crank down on the yards, and just a lot of hard work goes into that. That's where you form a lot of your habits that you're going to keep when you start tapering, which is what you do when you come home with like a month or so out of your championship meet. You'll start backing off and on yardage, on intensity, and you keep some up, obviously, to keep up race pace, but you taper essentially, and you start resting to the point where your body still compensates for all the hard work you were doing before, or hopefully doing before, and you basically time it so that it continues to overcompensate without needing it, because you're not working out still, and you want to maximize that right at the big meet. And that's right now we're just at the tip of starting to rest off. We're still working pretty hard because Big East is a little bit farther back this year.
Right.
So.
Well, that formula certainly worked last year with all your success, and as you said at the outset, I think this is a year where it takes our swimming program to another level. And thanks for all you've done to contribute to that success, and thanks for being with us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bill.
No problem.